What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McGlusky, which can only mean one thing. It is time for the College Football Podcast. Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Kentucky man. I'm gonna. I made that up the other day during one of the bowl games, and it didn't quite come to fruition for me, but I kept it. I liked it. We're staying there. We are in bowl season right now in college football land. The All-Star games are on the horizon. The rosters are starting to commit. It is deadline day for the latest set of recruiting classes. Ryan, the college football main season may be over, but things are just getting more crazier by the day with everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, it's the mini season in season. Like I say, the portal now is only 30 days. So that you've had a plethora of names change. It's also hashtag NSD. It's National Signing Day. So seniors from high school for the next couple of days are committing to their colleges, signing their national letters of intent. So their verbal commits, they've had to commit today. So they will have to enter the portal again when it reopens if they want to leave or they've made a mistake. But right now we're seeing all the recruiting classes, seeing lots of Europeans and seeing some Brits, like I say. So a lot of them are signing their offers now. So yeah, it's one of the best days of the year because these are where like all the so-called know-it-alls, they give their crystal balls where they predict people go, get it right. Yeah. Also, we're seeing the flips as well. Guys that were already committed, that had commitments, verbal commitments in the last year, right at the death of changing because people are bringing out the checkbooks and they're whispering in their ears, and it's tampering season.
That is it. This is the land of NIL in college football now. This is where all the he said, she said, we offer some money, this all comes into play, and it's got to do because you look at some of the moves and, you know, as it all dies down, we'll break down some of the big ones, but you look at some of the ones that stand out. Dominic Raiola, former Lions center, his son Dylan has flipped from Georgia to Nebraska. I believe they said he's the highest rated recruit to Nebraska since they started doing the records, like the 5-star recruit records, like in 2008. He has gone there to daddy's alma mater. God knows how much money they're going to be paying him. And then you had today other news, like big safety KJ Bolden. He's one of those new 5-star plus recruits. This is like a level above. So 5 stars are generally the cream of the crop, but the 5-star pluses, they're like, these are the elite of the league. He's the number one guy in the 2024 class. He has flipped from Florida State to Georgia. I mean, like, it's been crazy these last few days, hasn't it, right? Some teams have just been absolutely loading up on players, and some teams have just had absolute mares. But as you say, this is the land now. Get your checkbook out, and you can make a team out of nothing very quickly.
Oh yeah, like a lot of these kids, the bright ones as well, if they can reclassify, like we've seen the last few years where they go from 2024 to 2023 and they like skip their last year of high school because they've basically passed all the tests, they can enroll in college. They can literally play. We've literally just saw it was Quinn Ewers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, like say, yeah, he finished high school basically early and said, I'll go play football. Like I say, still basically high school age, but in college. Arch Manning, guys like that, they're just going to all start doing it now because they just breeze through the last years of high school. They've got like 30 Div 1 offers, reclassify, and they just walk on at campus and play, yeah. But we've seen it crazy. Colorado have basically recruited an entire O-line in about a week. Right, say they're just going to rebuild that, yeah. Lots of flips, lots of high profile, lots of losers. We've seen a lot of teams that have just lost a lot of commits. And that's usually a mixture of they fired their coach that they recruited them, their coordinators left, or they had a terrible year, or all the combination of all of it.
Yeah, or guys who've had good, guys entering the portal now who've had good seasons who want to go up for a challenge. This is where like those plucky good teams in the group of 5 start to get absolutely rinsed for talent, especially again in the age of NIL when teams can afford to pay them a little bit more. That's where we're going. Anyhow, we will come and have a chat about the portal and some of the moves we like and don't later on. But for today, we are going to be looking at bowl season. So started last week. We've had our first sleuth of bowl games that we tried our hand at predicting, and then obviously we're going to have a look at the ones coming up in the next week. And as I say, we're heading into all-star game season now, so the Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, the HBCU Legacy Bowl, the Hula Bowl, all those sort of things are starting to come up. Once the rosters start to take more of a formulative shape and we kind of know most of the guys in there, we will start diving down into those rosters, letting you know about some of the players that we love and guys to watch out for, as we always do, which is going to be good. But as I say, for now, it's kind of, we're in bowl season, so that's what we're going to focus on today. However, before we do, let me just get all the housekeeping out of the way. So, Royal Lines UK, our Discord, if you want in, let us know. We'll fire you a link for that. Main podcast is going to be back tomorrow. I presume Minnesota Vikings preview. The Detroit Lions, for the first time in 30 so years, can make a run at the NFC North, and we can secure our spot in the playoffs. We have been dreaming about this day for a very long time. We're nearly there. So come check us out on that preview show for hopefully the last game for the Lions, where we're not, like, have not been in the playoffs, have not been the NFC North winners for God knows how long. I'm so looking forward to that. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. Don't forget about Lions Nation Unite as well, which we are a part of, Herman Moore's project to bring together the best in Lions content creators in YouTube land, all in one app. So check that out. Don't forget we're a Twitch affiliate, we are YouTube monetized, and we have a tip jar. So if you want to help us that way, great. But we just love having you all in the building, and we've got a feedback form as well. So any suggestions you have for the shows, anything you want to see, anything you want to change, let us know. We will take that on board. Right, let us dive down into this. And to start off today, I'm going to pass you over to Ryan, because FCS playoffs action continuing. We accidentally said last week they were going on hiatus till January. The final is in January, but the weekend just gone saw these semi-finals happen. Ryan made two very big predictions last week. Obviously, his Montana Grizz still in at that point. Are they going to the final, Ryan? If so, who are they going to face?
Yep. So, and then there were two. So this weekend, the semi-finals took place. There was a game on Friday last week, and a Friday game on Saturday. So you could not get two more polar opposites games. So we'll dive into the actual interesting one. Yep, my prediction is still live. Number 2, Montana Grizz. They beat North Dakota State 31-29 at home. So this game was a field goal show until 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 10-9. So NDSU punted from their own end zone, and Montana turned the game on its head with a punt return touchdown. I believe it was Jalen Bergen. On the ensuing drive, NDSU have like 4th and 20, game on the line. Punter fakes, rushes for like 23 yards, converts. And their quarterback, Cam Miller, throws a game-tying touchdown with 51 seconds left to force overtime. Overtime 1, they both trade scores and extra points. Overtime 2, so it flips. It's NDSU scored first and Montana. Then it goes back to Montana. So they decide we're going to take the pressure, score a touchdown, and they go for a trick point on the 2-play. So instead of like a jet sweep behind, it's a jet sweep in front, and the running back comes across, pitches it, tears off to the sideline, but then throws it back towards the receiver. It is tipped and almost intercepted at the goal line, but it bobbles up into the air, back to the goal line, and it is caught for a 2-point conversion by the Montana receiver, White. A very fortunate play. So then it's on the onus is on NDSU. They score up the middle, and they try the exact same thing. So it's a halfback running back toss. He also peels out to the right and tries to throw a trick pass to wide receiver, but I believe it's a tight end, and he does look like he could have been interfered with. He wants a flag. He falls over, and he looks up, and the safety, I believe, picks it off. Like saying there's nothing he could do about it. And the game was over there and then. And number 2, Grizz, they're going back to the title game. It's been a while since they've been good. Well, it's been a while since they've had their level of dominance and been the best team in state. But yeah, they overcome the surging, unranked NDSU Bison in an absolute thriller. And on the other side, unfortunately, South Dakota State Jackrabbits, I've seen the highlights it wasn't fun. 59-0. They beat the Albany Great Danes, which is really unfair. It's not a true reflection on Albany at all. They've had a fantastic year, ranked number 5, but they just got absolutely plastered. So the performances of the day, Jaden Yankee, the SDSU receiver, 6 for 151 yards and a touchdown. So him and his identical twin brother, Jaden and Jackson, the Yankee brothers, they both came as wide receivers. They're identical twins, 6'3", 210. They could have gone to draft last year, but they said, no, we're coming back to win another back-to-back national championship. So the championship would be their last game. They both hold like tons of records between them. 2 of the best players like combined in recent FCS history. They'll be going in the draft next year. So, well, this year, like I said, they'll be their final game. So in Frisco, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. The safety for SDSU took a large, had an interception and a 79-yard punt return touchdown. So the Montana D, they held North Dakota State, who are a primarily run-first, run-heavy offense, to 175 yards, but 40 carries. They took everything away from the air, and they kept them, like I said, just over 4 yards a carry, which deserves a lot of credit for the Grizz. But the standout for the Bison was Javier Derit, the defensive lineman, 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2.5 tackles for a loss. So he had himself a day, but unfortunately, they just fell short on overtime. So yeah, it's number 1 being number 2. I don't remember the last time that happened in recent years without checking, but yeah, the 2 top seeds have made it all the way through to Frisco, Texas, and they will compete for the title in January. And one has made a lot easier work of getting here than the other. Montana have been in some close games. Like I said, they just got past Furman by 1 score. The Jackrabbits have pretty much just blitzed through absolutely everyone that's been put in their way. It's really not been that difficult for them at all. So, yeah, it's going to be a super interesting championship. But I stand by my word. Like I said, it would be an upset. It'd be a massive upset. But the Grizz, like I say, I'm going to back them all the way. But it should be an absolute ding-dong. It's going to be a massive battle, these 2 teams going forward. I don't think they meet very often either.
No, I don't believe so. I looked. I think the betting line is 13 points in San Diego, in South Dakota State's favor. But like you say, you just don't know, do you, on these? But I think 1 versus 2, that's good. They got the rankings right. 2 best teams, quite obviously, in there, and that is going to be an absolute barnstormer. But I mean, I don't know. You say it's a clash of styles. It's not a clash of styles. They're pretty similar, these 2, aren't they? So it's going to be interesting to see who sort of out attritions the other. But yeah,
One's had to learn their defense to get here. Montana's defense, I'd say, is probably had to work a lot harder. The Jackrabbits' offense has just made life pretty easy for them in most games. They've not been in any. If I look back, I don't think they've been in any real close games.
I don't believe so either, thinking about it.
No, they beat Villanova by 11. They beat Mercer 41-0. And that was the second round, yeah. So no one's got within 11 points of them. So whereas the Grizz, like I say, the Grizz have won 49-19. They only beat Furman by a score, and they only beat this by a failed 2-point conversion. So one's had life a lot easier than the other.
And South Dakota State have had 2 shutouts now in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've had 2 shutouts, and they've scored 100 points in them, 41-0 and 59-0.
Jesus. So it is going to be explosive. Let us see 1 more week.
Montana will cover the spread.
There you go.
I think they'll get inside 13 points if they don't win still.
There you go. You got it there. Cover the spread against the Grizzlies, even if they don't win. But we shall be back at the start of January to let you know how that one gets on. Right, let us move on now. And we're going to go and we're going to have a chat about bowl season because it has begun. And bowl season, right, for all intents and purposes, it is a game at the end of the season, which does feel a little bit meaningless for a lot of teams. A lot of guys declare for the draft. A lot of guys hit the portal, so they're not going to play. But it is a chance to just have a little peek into the window of the future of some of these teams, isn't it? And in this first week, I feel like we've seen the direction of a few teams and how they're going to be going forward. But it's a bit of an odd one bowl season, but there's been some fun games so far, hasn't there?
Yeah, it's one of those like some games feel pointless, like I say, because they just some teams, some players just aren't bothered. Like you said, they've got bigger things in their mind. But other teams, it's important because, like I say, the quarterback that does play the game is going to be next year's starter. Like I say, so, but it makes it impossible to pick because they nearly always drop out. Well, after we've picked them, and then
Yeah.
we'll see. But, yeah, but also like just short notice, so it can make. You never bet on a bowl game, and you will never put any money on them. Like I say, even for spread. But yeah, they are interesting, like I say, because the guys that don't play usually are the ones that are leaving. So, like I say, we're going to look at some of them where their starters we already know are out, so that will change who we affect. But yeah, some of them have been fun. I've not had a good start, like I say, but it's total luck of the draw.
I think at this point I'm already bottom of our seedings for
I'm
this,
second
and like
bottom, yeah, but
I have spent 2 years at the bottom of the pick watch, and now I'm at the bottom of this. Now that I've invited all the others to try this year, just
well,
like
someone did let us down immediately.
they did. It's just
Not
like
pointing fingers, but we know who it's going to be.
yeah, exactly. It's just like half host of a college football podcast show, and I just can't bet on them for. It's just terrible. But anyhow, let us dive down into the games. There's been 9 so far. So the very first one that happened on it's still so the game started on the 16th of December, the Saturday. It was the Myrtle Beach Bowl first off to kick us off, and that was between Ohio of the MAC and Georgia Southern of the Sun Belt. And for Ohio, it had been a disappointing end to the season. They just missed out on the MAC title game to Miami of Ohio, but they rebounded and made up for this in against a team who cost me and Ryan in this one. But Ohio 41, Georgia Southern 21. And the crazy thing about this game, right, is the losing team had their starting quarterback in, and the winning team had a completely new quarterback in because Curtis Rourke is no longer with Ohio, or he's in the portal. He got his new home at Nebraska, not Nebraska. He's with Wisconsin. Wisconsin. He's with somebody. I'll get to it. Anyhow,
The
Curtis
Big
Rourke.
Ten team.
I think he's with Wisconsin. I think he's gone to Luke Fickell and Wisconsin, if I remember. I will get back to that. But anywho, Curtis Rourke not playing in this game. So they went to backup. Don't know whether he's going to be future starter, but might be Parker Navarro. Asked our good friend James in our Discord chat. Said he is more of a running quarterback for this point in time, but dude looked good on the day. And Ohio, really good performance from them. As I say, it ended up 41 to 21, and you take the two quarterbacks in Davis Brin, who's the starter at Georgia Southern, high profile transfer for them from Tulsa, started there for years at the beginning of this year. His day, 32 of 42, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the day. He also got sacked 5 times because the Georgia Southern O-line went to sleep and never woke up. On Ohio's side, Parker Navarro, their quarterback, 11 of 16, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. But Ohio love to do their stuff on the ground. They had 232 yards of offense on the ground compared to just 67 from Georgia Southern. So Georgia just threw it all the time. Ohio ran it a lot of the time, but with complementary styles through the air. Parker Navarro, the quarterback, had 15 carries for 71 yards. Ricky Hunt, their main guy, one of the best performances you'll see in bowl season, 17 carries, 115 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So on average for him, 1 in every 4 runs was a touchdown. He was at 6.76 yards per carry, which is pretty good there. And then you look on defensive side, Ohio, 0 turnovers on the day for them in terms of they didn't give any turnovers away. Georgia Southern turned the ball over 5 times, 3 picks from Davis Brin, 2 fumbles, gave a 17-point swing in turnover luck for Ohio in this game, and they won by 20. So a game beset by turnovers for Georgia Southern, but I mean, great day for the MAC. The MAC show up for bowl games, Ryan. They were the most successful conference in bowl season last year, and they started off this year's with a bang. And I say it's the backup quarterback, the ground game against their far more experienced opponents. And yeah, credit Ohio for that one.
Yeah, they didn't put the ball in harm's way. Like I say, it's hard to take a ball away from the team that primarily runs it. The quarterback was efficient. He didn't have to throw many passes. They were able to control the tempo, control the clock. Whereas, let's say, Georgia Southern, too many just bad sloppy plays, bad sloppy errors that just gave Ohio, like I say, all the motivation they needed and the field position. So it's just a recipe for disaster, like I say. And sometimes it's hard to plan for a quarterback you don't know because you don't know what they're going to do. Like I say, in this case, they basically just took the ball out his hands and said, you can have like 15 goals, but we're just going to run it. So if they'd have planned for a more heavy pass offense, they could have scripted players to, like I say, probably drop their safeties, everyone. Like I say, not probably have a bit of a lighter box. And they just didn't adjust well on the fly. Like I said, they were just gashed through the middle.
I mean, it was crazy. So the Ohio defense, they had a 25% havoc rate on the day, 11 tackles for loss, 7 in the pass game, 4 in the run game, 5 sacks, 3 interceptions. Like, their guys ate all day long. And for Georgia Southern, just mistakes all over. Veteran quarterback who just had an absolutely, I mean, in fairness, when he's getting hit all the time, it doesn't help, but like we never sold on Brit on the move there. Obviously, they do the whole more air raid under their new head coach and that, but yeah, it's weird. One of the few veterans who went in and he looked awful.
Yeah. Like I say, he came with a reputation, but it didn't feel genuine. Now I look at it, I feel like it probably wasn't that big a get for him. And yeah, they've in a conference that's very winnable. Like I say, they're flattered to deceive. And this quarterback that was supposed to, I suppose, not get them to the Holy Land, but make them enough to be competitive, to be considered. Yeah, you'd expect better from someone that's got a few years under his belt against a, like I say, best part of a novice.
Yeah, yeah, it was great start for the MAC there, but say Georgia Southern, that was a very disappointing end to the year for them. They lost in the last week of the season to Old Dominion, which is not that great, and then to lose the bowl game in such a convincing way, not great at all. But for Ohio, it'll be a decent season for them. Bowl win, something to build on next year, and maybe a quarterback to go with. Who knows? We'll see how Parker Navarro gets on there. Right, let us move it on to some more of Saturday's game. So next up, let me just see if I have the ones for this. We do. So it was the Celebration Bowl, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, which obviously the HBCU bowl game. And I mentioned last week, in terms of the HBCU bowl game, these guys go all out for it because it is a big honor for them to go out and win this. It was Howard versus Florida A&M, and it was one of the closest games we've had so far. But me and Ryan both predicted it. It was the A&M Rattlers from Florida who managed to win this one, but not by as much as we thought they were going to. We thought this might have been a little bit of well, not a blowout, but it might have been a one-way thing for a lot of this. But I mean, Howard came out big in this. So first quarter, in the first 5 minutes, they were 14-0 up. Jarrett Hunter had a run in from 8 yards. Casey Hawthorne had a run from 3 yards. And kind of before you knew it, that was that. And that was the end of the first quarter. They were 14-0 up. But then Florida started to fight back afterwards. So in the second quarter, they had a touchdown. Terrell Jennings ran in from 3 yards. They had a safety, they did not. Howard got a safety. Jeremy Musa, their quarterback, was sacked by Darian Brockenburr for a loss of 8 yards, and it was a safety. So Howard was 16-17 up, 16-7 up at this point. But then Florida and A&M got a field goal just before the half. So it was 16-10 to Howard at the break. Howard looked really good in this. But then Florida A&M in the third started to change it. Jeremy Musa found Kelvin Dean from 21 yards for a touchdown. It was the only score. Oh, it's right at the end of the fourth they scored that. Then they got another touchdown. Jeremy Musa to Kelvin Dean again, this time from 53 yards, managed to bust a coverage downfield. And at this point, Florida have turned it around 24-16. Howard get a field goal back from 40 yards. to make it 24-19. And then Musa throws an interception to Carson Hinton, pick six. He returns it 27 yards for a touchdown to Howard, and they're up 26-24. That is with 7 minutes left in the game. But Florida and A&M, it takes them less than 90 seconds to get back down the field. Musa finds Jamaray Shariard from 38 yards for a touchdown. They tried a 2-point conversion. It failed. Still nearly 6 minutes left at this point. It's 30-26 to Florida A&M, but the defense was able to hold out. But this was a real humdum affair in this one, right? I mean, we didn't expect Howard to be able to hang. And you look at this game, Florida and A&M had 375 yards of offense. Howard only had 194. Florida A&M threw it for 259 yards. Howard just 103. A&M ran for 114 yards. Howard just 86. But between the safety and the pick six, their defense was able to give them a real good go in this one. And unfortunately, the Howard quarterback, he threw 3 picks on the day. Quinton Williams just gave Florida A&M too many possessions in this one. And Jeremy Musa was able to do the damage. He was 17 of 30 for 259 yards, 4 touchdown passes, had a couple of interceptions himself, including the pick six. But this was actually really fun. I watched this one. It was a really fun celebration ball game, fiercely fought, but the right team won in the end. But Howard's defense, oh, they deserve a lot of credit for that game because they nearly caused the mother of all upsets in that one.
I think they'll probably be really upset that they didn't win that. Like, they'll feel like that their defense gave them enough chances. But yeah, for every time the defense made a great play, unfortunately, their QB went and kind of like made their life a bit harder. They want a break or a rest on the sideline, went and threw an interception. So the lack of complementary play, I'd say, between forcing turnovers and then giving them away, unfortunately, that was Howard's downfall, because it's A&M who in the SWAC title game destroyed their opponent. I thought this would be fairly one-sided too, but Howard, to the credit, yeah, they kept plugging away, made life really difficult for them. But yeah, too many critical errors at big moments, unfortunately, cost them in the end. And A&M probably get away with one. Like I say, all that offense and all that yardage, but they didn't really pull away until the very end, and they asked their defense to kind of bail them out on a drive. So yeah, they pushed their luck a little bit, but a good game, a good advertisement for HBCU football in general, because let's say they only get their one bowl game. But yeah, the Bison pushed them all the way. Really good performance. But yeah, caps off a stellar season, Florida A&M. Was that 13 wins? I think it was 13th win.
They were 12-1 in season. They were 8-0 in the SWAC. So yeah, that's a 13-win season.
That is a stellar season, that.
Yeah, and the A&M Rattlers, they're going to have some draft talent, and hopefully you're going to hear about them soon on this show. So we will get round to that once Legacy Bowl season is up and coming. But yeah, great win for A&M, but really good performance from Howard. As I say, took a 2-score lead early, and that is a theme today. Underdogs taking big leads and blowing them. And we'll find out why later, because it's one team that really, really screwed the bucket on this one. But yeah, great celebration game. Really enjoyed that. And we both got that one right. Anyhow, let us move it on. More games to go through. We have the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl next. And this was contested between CUSA team Jacksonville State and the Sunbelt's own Louisiana. And I remember when we did this, we both, without a shadow of a doubt, picked Jacksonville State to go out and win this, even though on paper, Louisiana are a pretty good team. I mean, they were 6-7 in the year. Jacksonville State were 9-4. Well, first year up from the FCS, right? Jacksonville State, 10-win season and a bowl win season for them. They won the New Orleans Bowl, and this was another really good game. Ended up 34-31, but you've got to credit Rich Rodriguez and the job that he's done there. They sort of set the pace in this, and they were ahead of the chains quite a fair bit of the time. So it didn't start off very well. Zion Webb, the Jacksonville State quarterback, he got picked off within the first 2 minutes, and it ended up being a pick six. it was a pick six. No, sorry. He threw a screen pass. His receiver fumbled it, and it was a scoop and score. Jalen Clark for Louisiana was able to do that. I think it was nearly half the field, about halfway. It was a really good drive from them, but then they just completely and utterly ballsed that up. Anyhow, they got their act back together. Cole Fuller, 1 yard rushing touchdown, leveled the score up. But then Zion Webb did throw his pick six. Sorry, I knew he threw one. It was a fumble to start. It was a pick six after that. So Louisiana have scored 14 points at this point, and their offense has done absolutely nothing. It's Jacksonville State 7, Louisiana 14. But then Jacksonville State start to get into this. So Ron Wiggins, 7 yard run, just as the half's about to expire, 23 seconds left, and it's 14 all going into the half. They start the third quarter with a field goal to make it 17-14. Louisiana then actually get an offensive touchdown. Chandler Fields, the quarterback, 1 yard keeper for a touchdown. Logan Smothers, he's the backup quarterback for Jacksonville State, but they brought him in. He had a 10 yard run for a touchdown. So Jacksonville State up by 3 again. It was leveled up. Jacksonville State 24, Louisiana 24. Keith Almendares had a 33-yard field goal for Louisiana. And then again, Logan Smothers throws a pass intercepted by Tyree Skipper. Another pick six for Louisiana, and they're 7 points up. Zion Webb then comes back into the game as quarterback. He completes a pass to Perry Carter from 18 yards within the final 2 minutes to tie it up. It goes into overtime, and Jacksonville State win it courtesy of a 27-yard field goal from Garrison Ripper, 34-31. But, I mean, what an absolute crazy game. The Raging Cajuns had a 17-point turnover margin again in this one. 2 pick sixes, a scoop and score for Louisiana. I mean, Jacksonville State made very hard work of this, Ryan, and the quarterback play really, really questionable, but they're a running team primarily, and they had 296 yards on the ground compared to just 236 through the air. And after early, you're probably not surprised why. Ron Wiggins, 27 carries, 126 yards and a touchdown for him. Zion Webb had 70 yards on 16 carries as well. But, I mean, what a crazy, crazy game. When you think a team scores 31 points and loses, and it's 3 defensive touchdowns, it's kind of like an Iowa game in perpetuity, isn't it? But regardless of how bad Jacksonville State's quarterbacks were, I mean, what a good end to a great season for them. Double-digit wins and a bowl win.
Yeah, it couldn't have gone much better this year with their eligibility criteria. So Rich Rodriguez, who has been much maligned in the past, but very experienced, like I say, comes up, gets the job done. And you'd like to think that if he retains a lot of the talent and adds to it, that they could be a major player in conference next year. They should have lost this game, though. Realistically, when I look at it, I think they really did get quite fortunate at the end. Like I say, both quarterbacks didn't cover themselves in glory at all. The running game was really what bailed them out. That's it. But on the other side, they should have won the game. So, yeah, it was an odd one. It's not often that you swap and rotate quarterbacks that both throw pick six and you're all at sea. So you kind of just have to rely on the run game. But in the end, overtime, it is one of those, like, it's anyone's game. They do hang on and they do survive and outlast them. So that takes credit in itself. But yeah, very interesting game. Like I say, it was good and fun for the neutral, and caps off what's been a fantastic year for them. So they deserved it in the end, but the performance left a lot to be desired.
So just to put it into perspective, and this is why, turnovers win games for teams in this case. This was a 3-point margin of victory. So Jacksonville State had 640 yards of offense. Louisiana had 240. It's like, Christ. They had 400 yards more offense, and they won by 3. That is what defensive scores do for you, folks. So don't turn the ball over. And they would have won this by an absolute landslide. But they say the right team won in the end, but can't make mistakes like that when you're going for the CUSA title next year. Liberty will not allow you to do that. They will rack up 70 or 80 on you. So well done, Rich Rodriguez. Well done, Jacksonville State. Terrific performance from you. Bowl wins, great. Quickly, though, on Louisiana, this feels odd. DeSormu, it's not gone right since Napier left. I kind of feel like he's on a hot seat next year now. He's had 2 years, but a bowl loss to Jacksonville State, you should kind of really be beating them in the grand scheme of things, and they didn't. I feel like he's on a hot seat going into next year. I don't know about you.
Yeah, when Napier left them and he took he took a lot of their better players as the quarterback. But that's that's kind of ancient history now. You can't really blame that now. The coach has had best part of 2 years to bring his own players in, adopt his style, to try just steady the ship. But it's very rocky still, yeah. Like I said, they weren't great this season, did get a bowl game, and with no disrespect to JSU. Yeah, you should be beating these first year FCS teams in bowl games. You've been to these games before. You know to win. And the fact that they mustered such little offense and got so close, you've got to find other ways to win. And they were not able to do that. Like I said, they couldn't rely on their offense. And in the end, they didn't find enough sparks on special teams and defense to get the job done. And despite the large scoreline, they were rolled up.
Yeah.
640 yards of offense that defense gave up. That's pitiful. That is quite an embarrassing showing, unfortunately, despite the scoreline. The scoreline flatters them.
Yeah.
In reality, it just wasn't that close at all, was it?
No. As I say, 3 defensive scores to 1 offensive one. That kind of tells you the story you need to know in that. But again, that's what turnovers do. You can get all those yards and they won't mean squat if you keep turning the ball over. Anyhow, talking of turnovers, I mean, this next one had all the turnovers and fumbles in the world in it. And of course, we're talking about the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl that was done between Miami of Ohio and Appalachian State. And this was the first one where we disagreed because we got the Jacksonville State one right. So we're both 2-1 at this point. And this is where things start getting sticky. But this was... Oh, it was a tough watch, this was. Appalachian State, the Sunbelt team, winning over MAC Miami, although Miami have a title. They have the MAC championship to savor on, so I don't think they'll be too disappointed. 13 points to 9 in App State's favor for this. And, I mean, the turnovers in this were crazy. So there were 10 fumbles. 10 fumbles in the game. Now, some of them were recovered, but... I think it was 6 of them. 6 of them were lost. 10 fumbles, 6 of them were lost. App State also threw a pick into the equation as well. And weirdly enough, when it's all said and done, the turnover look evened out to just a point in App State's favor. But teams just could not keep hold of the ball at all. There was just 2 offensive touchdowns in this. Miami started off with a touchdown after 3 minutes. App State then responded with their own field goal a couple of minutes later. There's 1 score in the second quarter, a field goal from App State again. So it's 6-3 going into the half. App State then get their touchdown with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Joey Aguiar, the quarterback, runned in from 9 yards for a touchdown there. And then 2 minutes later, Miami fire back. Rashad Amos, 23-yard touchdown run for them. So with 2 minutes left, it's 13-9 in the third quarter. The rest of the game without any points whatsoever, as teams just could not hold on to the ball. But for App State, it was a case of they just turned it over a little less. Only 44 passing yards for Miami of Ohio on the day, 200 on the ground. But of course, Gabbert out with a broken leg. Their regular season quarterback didn't play in this, his replacement. So they were starting. So their 2 quarterbacks, Maddox Cobb, he went 1 of 2 for 28 yards and nothing. Henry Casson went 5 of 8 for 16 yards, nothing in terms of but their running back, Rashad Amos, good game for him. 33 carries, 180 yards and a touchdown. But he fumbled 3 times and lost 2 of them. So it just wasn't a good day for the running backs there. On App State side, they were a little more consistent. So Joey Aguiar, 18 of 32, 211 yards and a pick. Anderson Castle, the running back, 20 carries, 119 yards for him. So they found a little bit more of a balance to win. But this is one of those bowl games, right, where it's just littered full of mistakes, a lot of new players involved in this, very low scorer. And at the end of it, it's just like, I think both teams wanted to be elsewhere. But for App State, it's a bowl win. It caps off a disappointing season for them because they missed out going to the Sun Belt title game, but they'll take a little bit of comfort in this. For Miami of Ohio, they won't care because they won the MAC championship.
Yeah, I suppose it's a bowl game is one of those things where you don't really care how you play. It's all about the result and not the performance. Like I say, and credit App State, they dealt with the adversity better. I suppose we'll say like it was an ugly game. Both teams won't be pretty happy with how they played. But yeah, for one, it feels like a consolation for a bad year. And the other one, it feels like, well, they probably forgot about the result pretty quickly because they won it this year. So two teams, drastically different seasons. One will probably care more about the other. Like I say, these two teams, like I say, just maybe breaking in some guys for next year. Like I say, because Miami of Ohio next year probably have a different starting quarterback. Like I say, I don't know if Brett Gambett's returning.
He's coming back. I think
back.
he's reiterated his cause to that team. So yeah,
we'll see what he's like though. But yeah, they'll have a title to defend, and on the other hand, the Sun Belt will be even more fiercely competitive. And App State will have to find a way to compete with other big forces and try to keep pace. So yeah, this was one of those games where just not a lot went right for either team.
Yeah, it was. It just felt like an end of season one, and it was just, yeah, they're all glad that they're done now, and no one. It was just the ground guys really showed out. So many fumbles. It's like just hold on to the ball, man. You can do that, but hey ho. Well done to App State there. Let us move it on. There's a couple more games left from Saturday. So we had the Isleta New Mexico Bowl up next, and at this point I'd taken a one-game lead over Ryan, but I quickly lost it. Fresno State, the Bulldogs against New Mexico State, the Aggies, that is CUSA runners-up. New Mexico State against Fresno State, who didn't make the title game in the Mountain West, but Fresno State came out and absolutely pounded New Mexico State into the ground. And in fairness, both starting quarterbacks played in this one, and we've seen very good Diego Pavia this year for New Mexico State, but we kind of saw bad Diego Pavia in this game. So the two quarterbacks, Mikey Keene for Fresno State, he threw 31 of 39, so only 8 incompletions in 40 throws, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, just 1 pick to blemish on the day. Diego Pavia of New Mexico State, he was 11 of 25, 58 yards and a pick, and he got sacked 4 times for his troubles as well. As New Mexico just couldn't pass the ball. They ran it for 163 yards, but that kind of doesn't really do much for you when you're not able to go at that either. Whereas Fresno State put down 500 yards of offense compared to New Mexico's 200. And I think New Mexico may have been suffering a bit of a hangover from their title game, whereas Fresno State didn't play. They had a week off. They were a little bit fresher. And this was just kind of a non-contest right from the very beginning. They got out to a 10-0 lead, Fresno State. New Mexico State got a field goal, but by the time they got their touchdown, it was 20-10, and they didn't score another point for the rest of the game. It was a disappointing year for Fresno, right? I mean, that Mountain West was right open to be won, and they kind of messed up right at the end when they needed to, but they'll take comfort in a bowl win. For New Mexico State, this has just like been a season beyond anything they would have expected. They've still been incredibly good. 10-win season for them. They're not going to complain in the slightest, but there was only one team who wanted this game, and it was the team who'd not gone to championship week.
Yeah. Where was this Bulldogs team early in the season? It's no good doing it now, let's say, a pointless bowl game. They flattered to deceive. They let themselves down in the middle of the end of the season. And yeah, they kind of just came and just thought we're going to take it out on New Mexico State. I don't think they'll be that happy, honestly, to end the season with the bowl win. I feel like they'll be just like, they turned up, went through the motions, got it done. And yeah, they look towards next season. On the other sideline, it would have been nice for them to cap off such a great season with bowling, but in the end, no, they were bad, and Pavia was poor. Like I say, but his O line didn't help him. So yeah, like this was one of probably their worst performances of the season. Probably as an offense, yeah, and it came at a time, luckily, where it wasn't too costly. So they'll be upset. It'll sting, but they're not gonna. It's not gonna last too long in the memory. They'll want to work on it again next year. Both of these two teams will want to go much further next year.
Oh yeah, they'll be fighting for championships next year. I've no doubt Fresno State will come back in the Mountain West. I would hope New Mexico State can carry on this run of form they've had this year in the CUSA. But yeah, this was a one-team thing. Fresno State get the bowl win, so they at least end the season hopefully with something to go forward. And a lot of their big players played. Like I say, Mikey Keene, the starting quarterback, played. Malik Sherrod, the lead running back, played. He had 171 yards on the day. He was the leading rusher and receiver, so he was able to get himself some new admirers on the day as well. Next up is the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. This was fought between Texas Tech and Cal. We both went for Cal, and Cal kind of let us down in this, but this was the game, right, between the two big running backs, Jaden Ott and Taj Brooks. We checked last week, both these guys were going to play, and one came out on top. Texas Tech won this 34-14. And I mean, Cal actually started off really well in this. It looked like they were going to win. They were 14-7 up after the first quarter. Looked really good. Jaden Ott got his touchdown on the day. It was from only a yard, but they were looking great. But so they got their score, their second one, with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, Cal did. They didn't score another point for the rest of the game. And Texas Tech kind of took this over. And again, game of turnovers, 4 from Cal, 1 from Texas Tech, which kind of just keep giving the ball back to the opposition. But Taj Brooks, 22 carries, 98 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.5 yards per carry, which is no slouch for him. He had 5 catches as well for -3 yards. So yeah, a little catches behind the line of scrimmage, which got blown up. But it was a fun game for a quarter, this, and then kind of just mellowed out. But one of the main running backs won the day, and it was Taj Brooks.
Yeah, and this is a game this was probably the most prominent game of the weekend. Bigger schools. But this game kind of proved to me next year which one of these is an outside dark horse and which one of these is already a pretender. The Golden Bears, for me, they're just not very good because I just don't trust their quarterback play. And Barron, the Texas Tech quarterback, he's shown flashes this year. He's had some really good games, had some bad games, like I say, and they've recruited quite well, the Red Raiders. So they're kind of an outlier in the Big 12. They could have quite a good year, but for Cal, it does sum up their year. It's kind of been, if it's not Jane, not, they just don't muster any offense. And then defense, yeah, they struggled. So I was disappointed by how one-sided this was because these two have got loftier aspirations next year than a lot of teams have spoken about. But I just feel like one of them is just way off where it needs to be. And one of them could be a dark horse.
Comes down to your quarterback play. The stats are really quite similar. So Mendoza, the Cal quarterback, so 261 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Behren Morton, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. You know, it's the difference there. Switch around the touchdown passes and the interceptions, and the team that, you know, whose quarterback doesn't give the ball away wins games. And when you lose the turnover count 4-1, you're not giving yourself much of a chance there. As we've seen in the games so far, turnovers cost you games. And yeah, I was disappointed with Cal. They've had a really good season, and that offense has been fire, and it did not show. But as for Taj Brooks, like you say, there are going to be a lot of eyes on him next year. Next year's running back class, again, I can't emphasize this enough, is absolutely insane. So, you know, he's certainly going to be one to watch out for. So we both got that one wrong. Then my moment of madness, as always. So I actually missed this on last week's broadcast. but we did get it in before it actually happened. So it was the LA hosted by Gronk Bowl. So yes, that is the actual title of it, between UCLA and Boise State. And me being me, Boise State, the Mountain West champions, against UCLA, who finished fourth, I think it was, fourth or fifth in the Pac-12 this year. So it is Power 5 versus Group of 5. I expected Boise State to put up a bit of a fight in this, but UCLA won 35 points to 22. But I will give them their credit. Boise were in this for a very long time. And again, they took a lead into the second half. So started off with a couple of field goals for Boise. Then UCLA got a touchdown. Colin Schley was in, the former Kent State quarterback. He found Hudson Habermail from 5 yards. So UCLA went up by 1. But then Boise got another field goal. And then George Halani, the part of the 2-man tier running back there, the 2 elite running backs that they have, he got a score from 1 yard before the half. So Boise actually go in up leading 16-7. But then 4 unanswered touchdowns from UCLA in, well, 3 in the third quarter, 1 with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Ethan Garbus finds Kyle Ford first, then TJ Harden has 2 rushing touchdowns. And then Ethan Garbus again finds Michael Sturdivant from 40 yards. And at this point, it's 35-16. George Halani then, with 5 minutes left, he has a 66-yard touchdown run as they kind of threaten a little bit of a comeback. They tried a 2-point conversion. It failed. The gap remained at 13. And that was kind of how the game saw out. But for a quarter, I was sort of really optimistic that I was going to get the upset that I got. But UCLA, you know they're a tough team. You know they're going to ground and pound you, and they're going to beat you into submission eventually. And that's what they did. 280 yards of rushing compared to 227 from Boise, who didn't do bad themselves. But UCLA mixed it in with quarterback play. So Ethan Garbus and Colin Schley both played a fair bit. They played really well. And UCLA got their ball win, which they probably should have expected to. And, you know, again, caps off what has been, it's been a disappointing year for UCLA, all fair and told. They all wanted to have done better. The head coach is still there somehow, even though they said he was going to be fired. But I don't know. Maybe this buys him a little bit more time and he'll get his shot at the Big Ten next year.
This is a weird one because this is 2 teams for me that they're in trouble. They've both lost their quarterback, and I'm not convinced their starter is. I don't think either of them's got their starter yet on the roster. Ethan Garbus, I remember well because he is the old Cal quarterback. And he was pretty good there, yeah. And Schley, but for me, I watch his UCLA. It's kind of like a 3-headed rushing monster. This game for me was one on the ground. They had a lot of successful rushes on the day, and they did do well. So everything was by committee. 2 quarterbacks, like 4 running backs, good defense. But if anyone wanted to see what Boise State can look like about Green, this is it. And like they're going to struggle to defend their title. They say Joe Larney can't do it on his own. And obviously, Ashton Gent is a star. He's kind of like that do-it-all kind of guy. But honestly, I think they struggle to keep hold of him. I didn't think he'd stay. I thought he probably could have got like a lower Power 5 transfer portal move. Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't enter the portal. But yeah, 2 teams. One didn't play very well and won a title. And one didn't play that well and just didn't play very well. UCLA, for me, their season was a disaster. They've lost their quarterback to a big rival as well. He's gone to a massive rival, which would sting as Dante Moore. Yeah, I think the head coach probably could and should be fired. But this is a team, like I said, I don't see the Bruins doing out in the Big Ten next year. I just feel like they've got a lot of issues to address. So yeah, this was an odd game. It was kind of entertaining, for a short period, and it kind of went flat. The team I expected to win won, but I have a lot of questions about both teams going forward.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one there. UCLA, who knows what's going to happen when they move to the Big Ten?
Who's going to win the job? Like, say, is it Garbers? Is it Schley? Do they bring someone in at the last minute, a camp body, as someone to rival them? Is there a 3 or a 2 or a 3-star guy on the roster? It's going to be very interesting to see who wins that job next year.
Well, I mean, Schlee's used to playing in the East Coast conditions as well. Like, been at Kent State, played in that area. You kind of go, he's figured, he'd be a bit better in the conditions. Garbus, it feels like,
I don't look at any of their quarterbacks and think, yeah,
yeah,
they're gonna lead them to compete for the Big Ten.
yeah.
I can't see it.
Not worthy of a program like that. Like they're not big enough for it, you would say. But I
They
mean,
fumbled that bag losing Dante Moore, but even then, he wasn't that good, was he?
no,
Like
you
the
know
big
what?
start, he really did flat
I,
disappoint.
I don't know whether they'll just use Schlee as a running back. Schlee actually led them in rushing. He had
Yeah,
seven.
he had a really good day on the ground.
He had 7 carries for 127 yards. It's like Jesus, and that's the quarterback. So God knows, maybe they're going to transition him. A 100-yard day for TJ Harden as well. He had 105 and 2 touchdowns there. As for Boise, so Gianti's coming back next year to Boise. So I instantly make him like offensive player of the year candidate, like in all of the Mountain West. He was the guy I tend to watch for this year. Halani's coming to the draft. Now, I know you loved Halani. You talked about him a lot last year. So he's going to get some looks. Like these Mountain West running backs, they're tough mofos and they will find a roster spot somewhere. I feel like he can get drafted for sure.
Yeah, he's a day 3 guy. But I think he can have his name called, yeah. I don't see why not. Big body of work. Like Khalil Shakir went in the 5th round to the Bills, and he's actually in his like 2nd, 3rd year kind of kicked on a little bit. Looking at the same kind of area, day 3 project, stash on the practice squad, maybe as a rotational guy. But yeah, that's a huge hole. They've now got a huge hole at quarterback and a primary running back. So yeah, the Broncos have got to reload again.
Yeah, they do. You've got to figure out what you're going to do there. But like I say, Giante coming back is going to be huge. You've got a building block there, especially for a young quarterback, if you want to ease the pressure on him. But yeah, UCLA get the ball win. They will feel disappointed on the year, but at least you get to end it all right. Okay, we've got 2 left and we go to Monday. And of course, the title of the show. We didn't talk about it first this week, but I'm doing these chronologically in terms of what they happened. And it was the famous Toastery Bowl, and I must say it has been the game of bowl season. It had absolutely everything in this, and it was fought between Western Kentucky of the CUSA and Old Dominion in the Sun Belt. Obviously, Old Dominion just had an absolutely terrific season for their standards. They finished 6-7, and people go, well, it's not great, but they finished 5-3 in the Sun Belt. They were one of the worst teams in the Sun Belt coming into this year. They make a bowl game. 5 wins in conference, great year for them, but they are really going to rue the end of this season. It finished Western Kentucky 38, Old Dominion 35. And this game, I thought it was over after a quarter. So Old Dominion came right out the gate. So Grant Wilson, the quarterback, found Isaiah Page from a yard out for a touchdown. That was after 2 minutes. At this point, they were able to get that there. Then there was a strip sack of the Western Kentucky quarterback because they used 2 of them. They put in Turner Helton to start the game, and the dude, I feel sorry for him, but he got strip sacked. They got the ball back. Kadarius Callaway run from 5 yards for a touchdown. 6 minutes into the game, Old Dominion up 14-0, and then it gets even worse as a minute later. Turner Helton, he's a young freshman at this. He was a young redshirt freshman. Throws a pick-6 interception to Chris Kane, who returns it 30 yards for a touchdown. And after 7 minutes, Old Dominion are up 21-0. Old Dominion got another pick in the first quarter as well as that, as they were able to keep the score at 21-0. And then going into the second quarter, they had the ball. Grant Wilson from 11 yards for a touchdown. And 17 minutes into the game, it's Old Dominion 28, Western Kentucky 0. But then there were a couple of questionable refereeing calls, and Western Kentucky got their start back into this. So Caden Veltkamp, he is also a redshirt freshman, I believe, came into the game and had one of the all-time great bowl performances, matched by his receiver, Dalvin Smith. So the first one, it was a fade into the end zone from 14 yards, and he has the most insane one-handed grab you will ever see above his head, running away from the ball to the corner of the end zone, one hand in, even gets both feet in. Absolutely sensational. One of the best catches you will ever see. And Western Kentucky get a touchdown back, but it's 28-7 at the half, and you're thinking, yeah, this game is done and dusted. But then in the third quarter, they come out and Caden Veldkamp again, touchdown pass to Dalvin Smith for 18 yards for a touchdown. And this one's even better because Dalvin is running literally laterally across the field in a straight line, and Veldkamp throws it like straight in front of him. So they're bisecting it across. He sticks one hand up in the air, grabs it without missing a step with one hand, brings it in, runs to the perimeter and runs it into the end zone. And I thought I'd seen one of the best touchdowns I'll see in a ball game the first time. The second one, seriously, you got to go and watch it. It's an absolutely insane grab by him. Like I say, he's bisecting it across. He's running at full pelt and he brings it in with one hand. Like, yeah, who cares? I don't really mind. He didn't seem like it bothered him whatsoever. So they halved the deficit to 28-14. But then Old Dominion wake up. Grant Wilson runs for 21 yards on a 3rd and 18 at the Western Kentucky 21, and it's the 35-14, and you're thinking, yeah, the rally's over, they're done. But Western Kentucky just kept coming back. Old Dominion at this point started going 3 and out a lot. But first, Caden Veldkamp finds Elijah Young from 37 yards for a touchdown 1 minute into the fourth quarter. Then 5 minutes in, he finds Dalvin Smith for his third touchdown of the game from 14 yards. But I'm disappointed to say it was a two-handed catch this time. I'm disappointed in him. 35-28. And then with 19 seconds left in the game, last drive of the game, because Western Kentucky blocked a punt from Old Dominion and put themselves in situation to be able to go with a short field and get the score, Veldkamp finds KD Hutchinson from 15 yards, evens it up just as the game is about to expire. So it goes into overtime. Old Dominion get the ball first. They get stopped, so they take a field goal. And Western Kentucky block the field goal. They block 2 field goals on the day altogether, turn it over, and then they're able to sort of just get it close enough for themselves. Lucas Carnero hits a 29-yard field goal. And Western Kentucky, they staged the stupidest, most insane comeback I've ever seen before. It was 28-0 after 17 minutes, and I'd already written the title for this show when it was done because I'd sort of come up with it in my head. And performance of maybe bowl season here, right? Caden Veldkamp, a redshirt freshman who's barely played this season. He took a handful of snaps. I think he's their fourth. He's like their quarterback 4, because 1 and 2 weren't playing. And we'll talk about QB1 in a minute. But he went 40 of 52 for 383 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a pick. But him and Dalvin Smith, good Lord, what a game this was. This was like the neutral's dream, and Old Dominion are going to feel crushed by this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Old Dominion, I can't say anything nice about you today. What are you playing at? What are you doing? You cannot lose a game. What was it, 28-0 up and 35-14? Like, unacceptable. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter how big you are, how small you are. You just can't do it. Unfortunately, like I say, they blew it, and they allowed a Western Kentucky team that had no right whatsoever to be in that game come back. Like I say, 3 and outs, block kicks, block punts, all these mental errors, all these bad special teams play, the turnovers. They just gave more and more life to a quarterback that was just finding his feet and massive inexperienced. They felt like he could do no wrong, and everything he touched turned to gold. And yeah, they stole it. Like I said, the block field goal to win. God, it was like just outside the end zone. Like, it was only like 20 yards out. Like I said, it should have been a chip shot. And no, like I say, so ODU, great year, but it falls flat. It'd be hard to pick them up after this, unfortunately. It'd be hard to find much praise for them after doing all that hard work to kind of just throw it away. On the plus side, Western Kentucky, I'll give them all the credit in the world. Played like dog shit for a good 3/5 of that game, and they will tell you that. But they came alive. They got feisty in the end. They took their shots. They made some extreme plays. They rolled their luck. Like 6 blocking kicks and that. It's luck. It's luck of the draw. It's timing. There's no science to it. And in the end, they came away with a historic win. Yeah, that was a fantastic win. As a game for the neutral, by far the best game of the weekend. It had absolutely everything you could wish for. So yeah, it was one of those games where you just had to see it to believe it. But yeah, one team will feel mighty relieved and breathed a big old sigh. The other one, head in hands, unfortunately.
And, we talk about, again, the players who don't play in bowl games, like the seniors. And I mean, I'm sitting there at 28-0, and, these poor young redshirt freshman quarterbacks are getting absolutely beat on. And Austin Reed's in uniform on the sideline, having declared not to play. And it's just like, who are you kidding? Like, you ain't getting drafted. Why are you not playing in this game? Like, why are you letting these young guys get beaten up on and you're not playing? I thought that was a bad mistake from him. That's like, what are you protecting? You're not protecting draft stock. Go and play the game. But when guys like that sit, it allows an opportunity. And bowl game season, as we've said, is opportunity for a guy to come in and stake his claim. And I mean, Caden Veldkamp, that might be the performance of bowl season. This is a young redshirt freshman who has barely thrown a pass this season, who was 4th on their depth chart, or was going into this season. And you come in and they ask you to throw the ball 52 times because you've only rushed it 113 yards and you're getting nothing on the ground. And you complete 40 for 400 yards and 5 touchdown passes. Now, granted, he was helped by some otherworldly stags there, but that is where careers get launched for a lot of players, is bowl season. And maybe we've just seen Western Kentucky's future there, and they're like, hang on, this guy who we didn't know if he was going to be part, that could be their starter next year. And it seems like he's got a receiver who is going to be his Malachi Corley going forward.
Yeah, he was put in a pretty bad position, asked to just go in there and try perform a miracle. And well, yeah, he did it. And next year, he could be penciled in as, the quarterback 2 now. So it sounds like they're going to have a good few guys for their camp battle. But now he's been in real game scenario, out there in you train for it, but when you actually go into battle, it's different. It'll give him the world of confidence. Spring camp is a long time away, but he's never going to forget what it was like to actually play in a real game and have a feel for it. And yeah, he may well be the front runner now, penciled in to be next year's starter. It could be his job to lose. So it'll be interesting to see how they pan out. I say, because they do like that style. There will be weeks they do ask you to throw 40, 50 times a game. And if he can do it and that's his style as an air raid, then it could fit. So yeah, he's certainly going to be a name to watch out for next year.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the fun part. You get to see these guys. That is his very first game as a starter. And maybe we're going to see the next stud Western Kentucky quarterback right in front of our very eyes there. So, yeah, Caden Veldkamp, name to watch out for sure, as is Dalvin Smith. 9 catches for 77 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 of the best catches you'll see. Go and watch them. Dalvin Smith, Google his touchdown catches. They're absolutely crazy. Right, so that was big win there for Western Kentucky to end their season. For Old Dominion and Ricky Rahne, still highly successful year. Let's see how much of that talent they can hold on to this time. If he can hold on to the core of his team this year and add to it, because he's a really, really good high school recruiter and he's getting young guys through, Old Dominion, dark horse for the Sun Belt next year. We'll put it on the ground now. They could possibly be that. So, good season overall, but they will be very disappointed that it ended the way that it did. And the last one we've got on the docket for today was last night, the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl taking place between UTSA of the American and Marshall of the Sun Belt. And we got this one right because we got Old Dominion wrong. UTSA won 35-17 in this, and everybody was out this game. There was no Frank Harris for UTSA. Cam Fancher's in the transfer portal, so he wasn't playing for Marshall. But Rasheen Ali was at running back for them. He is coming up to the draft this year but he still decided that he was going to go ahead and play for his team in the bowl game, which you have to give him credit for. But UTSA, after a 9-win season, they end it with a 10-win season to mark a good first year in the American for them after the switch from the CUSA. Obviously remains to be seen how they are going forward, but they were made to work in the start for this one. Marshall started off good. They were able to get up. So Ethan Payne ran in from a yard for a touchdown. Then Rasheen Ali from 64 yards. Great touchdown run from him. That was at the start of the first and second quarters, respectively. Gave them a 2-score lead, but UTSA fought back very quick. Robert Henry had a 3-yard touchdown run. Joshua Cephas, the outstanding wide receiver for UTSA, I think he's also coming to the draft this year, or he should be. 44-yard touchdown reception from Owen McCone, who was the standing quarterback from UTSA, brought it to 14-all. Marshall took the lead again a few minutes later with a 44-yard field goal, but just before the half expired, Robert Henry got another rushing touchdown. So it was 21-17 at the break to UTSA, and they scored 2 unanswered touchdowns in the second half. Marshall didn't score another point again. David Amador got a 19-yard receiving touchdown to start, and Rocco Griffin had a 17-yard run for a touchdown as well, as they ran out comfortable 35-17 winners. Rasheen Ali for Marshall, the running back, great day for him. 9 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. So he was running at 10 yards per carry, but when you're 3 scores down, you can't really run the ball that much there. As for UTSA, their backup quarterback, Owen McCown, did all right. 22 of 31, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was a couple of picks as well, but they weren't very costly for them. And Joshua Cephas, if he comes to the draft, he's an underrated star to watch out for. Not related to Quintez before anyone says it. 7 catches, 102 yards, a touchdown for him on the day. But kind of how we expected this one to go. Marshall had a really disappointing season. The fact they made a bowl game, it shows you how strong the Sun Belt is that they made it there. But they finished bottom of their conference. All but 2 teams made a bowl game in the Sun Belt. But UTSA, they'll be disappointed they didn't get to the American. But back-to-back CUSA championships, first year in the American, 10 wins, bowl win. It's a stable platform to build from for them going forward, although they will have to do it without their head coach. So we'll see. But good game for them.
Yeah, and when we made the picks, we only found out last 2 days ago that Frank Harris wasn't going to play it. So we didn't even know that. But they played pretty well without him. What happens with the head coach, the quarterback position going forward? Like I say, a bit of uncertainty, I suppose. Frank Harris is probably thinking about what he's going to do going forward. Obviously, like I say, it's a shame they've just lost Jeff Trainer. So he's earned the right, they wanted to move on. But yeah, like a good season in a new conference after 2 back-to-back titles. So they can't really complain with how this season went. Fell short, but yeah, it's a good team. When they ran, Marshall, they sucked this year. Disappointing. Quarterback play, not good. That's the position. They need to address that for next year. Rasheen Ali, good running back. I like him, but he can't do it on his own. So, these 2 teams, I'd say they're trending in different directions. One's a lot more stable. One's a pretty attractive head coach hire, I'd like to say. And I'm a big fan of Joshua Cephas. The only thing that'll hurt him, like say, going towards draft is the whole DUI and getting, like say, probation, like say, driving over the limit. Like say, he was convicted of a pretty serious offence, like say, last year. But yeah, as a footballer, 6'3", he's an outside receiver. And I'm pretty sure now that's back 3,000-yard seasons back to back to back. I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. So he's done really well. He's a potential dark horse project. So I like him as the kind of guy to watch for, like I say, those day 3 rounds. Like I say, he'll probably get his name called. So there's a lot of talent on this team to watch.
There is indeed. So for us, in terms of everything that's gone on, I am sitting at 4-5 at the moment. You are sitting at 5-4. So, we're mid-table pack at the minute, but there are a lot of games to go. And they say there've been some very fun ones so far. There've been a few blowouts, but been some big breakout performances. There's been some fun teams. There's, we're seeing some positive futures for a lot here. So yeah, we'll carry on with it. So we're going to move on in a moment to preview the games going forward. I just need to very quickly change something because I do believe I've made a little bit of a balls up in what we've got. So we've got the Gasparilla Bowl, Georgia Tech. I've got the teams the wrong way around. That's why. Just give me a moment. Georgia Tech, where are we gone? UCF, Georgia Tech. I don't know why I've got that there. And then
You've got like 16 bowl games in the next week, something.
we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we'll do next Wednesdays just to be sure. Hang on. Let's not do this again. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think it's 15, although I'm not sure. We'll do till next Wednesday and then we'll do. So we've got tomorrow's. So we've got the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. That is UCF and Syracuse. Now, we've already made our picks for this. You picked Syracuse. I've picked USF. Sorry, USF, not UCF. South Florida. Assuming you still want to keep your pick for that one. You're still sticking with the Qs?
Yeah, not a lot's changed.
Yeah, not a lot in there. That's absolutely fine. So we will move it on and we are going to go. I mixed up 2 of the team names, so I'm just trying to make sure I've got everyone in the right order where they should be now. We've got you right there, and then I've got it on here. So first up, we have the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, and this is taking place between the UCF Knights and Georgia Tech. So interesting. Both teams ended the season 6-6. UCF were 3-6 in the Big 12. So it was kind of a disappointing year for them. Georgia Tech actually finished 5-3 in the ACC. Like NC State, they kind of just went a bit under the radar, but the Yellow Jackets were a good team this year, and they gave some scares to a lot of big hitters in the ACC. For UCF, it was kind of a disappointing year. They ended the season more positively. The start was absolutely horrendous, but 2 very evenly matched teams here in case of the record they've had. One's overachieved, one's underachieved. Who have we got, Georgia Tech or UCF?
For me, this is pretty straightforward. UCF had like a top 6 offense in the nation. They almost took down Oklahoma in that mental shootout. They pushed the Big 10 big boys really close. They were great. Their defense just let them down. They could have won loads of games. I'll take the Knights. They were brilliant on offense.
See, that's kind of where I lean a bit as well, because obviously UCF love to run the ball. So if you're going to lose players for it, best way to do it, because they've got running back by committee there, and they've usually got a couple of good quarterbacks on hand as well. But the Yellow Jackets have been underrated this year. You know what? I'm going to split us on this one. So you're going to go with the UCF Knights. I'm going to take Georgia Tech for this one. I don't know. I just feel like they've got a bit of an underdog story in them there. Right. Let me just check that I've got the second team right, and then we should be able to move on unhindered, making sure we've got the right teams in there. So we have next the Birmingham Bowl, or should I say, yeah, it's just the Birmingham Bowl. It's not even sponsored. Yay. The Duke Blue Devils against the Troy Trojans. Now, we've not really talked about transfer portal yet. We will do to end the show, but one of the teams who's really, really struggled with the transfer portal is Duke. They've lost their entire D-line. They've lost their quarterback. They've lost their best running back because he's come into the Wolfpack. And they've lost a whole other slew of guys. But the Troy Trojans, Sunbelt champions, have lost their head coach, or will do. He's not coaching this game, so he's gone. But the team is relatively a lot more intact than their Power 5 opponents. Obviously, this is Power 5 versus Group of 5. Duke have lost everybody. New head coach. We're not sure about the hire there. Troy, Sunbelt champions. This could potentially be an upset Group of 5 over Power 5. You're going with the Trojans, or a Duke going to end a good season for them with a bowl wing, because they went 7-5. They were 4-4 in the ACC. For them, it was great. Troy 11-2, chance for a 12-win season, 7-1 in the Sun Belt, championship on the line, but will they suffer a hangover? Ryan.
I'll take Troy. Duke have got no to play for. The season's gone flat. They've been torn apart, lost a head coach. I think they're going to probably revert back to old ways. I actually think they could have a pretty rough year next year. Whereas Troy, head coach, is gone. Have they made a hire yet?
Troy, it was, I think we did this last week, didn't we? Give me one moment, Troy. Troy's coach. I remember, I swear we did it. No, oh, hang on, it's Greg. Oh, Greg Gasparato's the interim head coach. So we got an interim.
They'll be fine. They've not really lost anything. And like I say, Duke, they've got nothing to play for. How do you get yourself up for this game?
Oh no, sorry, it's they just appointed it today. Notre Dame's old OC, Greg Parker. Is it Greg Parker?
Is he
Gerard Parker? No, it'll be Gasparato, but Gerard Parker.
I'll take Troy. They're in the right headspace.
Yeah, I'm taking Troy as well. Duke have been pillared, and I mean absolutely pillared. Riley Leonard is gone. Calhoun, not Calhoun. Yes, Calhoun has gone, the running back. He's come to us. We've had a really good recruiting class at NC State, but they've lost their two premier D linemen, their D tackle. It's been a rough period for Duke there as they undergo a lot. So we're going for the upset in the Birmingham Bowl. Next, we've got the Camellia Bowl again, another one that is not sponsored. And one of the season's more feel-good stories coming out of the Sun Belt. The Arkansas State Red Wolves and Butch Jones, after that horrendous start to the season, managed to turn it around, finished 6-6 overall. They're 4-4 in the Sun Belt, and they're coming up against the Northern Illinois Huskies from the MAC. Also finished the season 6-6. They went 5-3 in the MAC, so equal records. NIU did slightly better in conference, but kind of still of a disappointing year for them. For the Red Wolves, tremendous that they were able to turn it round and get to a bowl game. And out of emotion alone, I'm going to pick the Red Wolves for this one. But who have you got right? Arkansas State or Northern Illinois?
I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to go with NIU. The Macs had a great year, and I can see them having another good bowl season.
All right, we shall put that in. So we've split again there, but interesting slate there because we're in on the Saturday now. So yeah, the Boca Raton Bowl's Thursday, the Gasparia's Friday, and the Birmingham and Camellia are on Saturday, and we've got 5 more on the Saturday to go through as well now. So we've got the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, and I'm not gonna pretend that I don't know where this one's going for you, right? But James Madison against Air Force. James Madison, 11-1 on the season, 7-1 in the Sun Belt. Couldn't compete in the title game because of the FCS transition rules, but they get to go to a bowl game. And the Lockheed Martin, this is a fairly big bowl game for them, the Armed Forces Bowl. It's well watched. Air Force, let's not talk about it. They were 8-0 on the season. They finished 8-4. They finished 5-3 in the Mountain West. They absolutely tore out everything that we thought about them, and a right up there for biggest disappointments of the season. We know exactly who these two teams are. Air Force, whoever declares, whoever plays, they're going to run the ball in the triple option, and James Madison, they're going to sling it, but they can also run it on the ground as well. Obviously, no Kurt Signetti there now for them. But Troy Calhoun's still there at Air Force. But I don't know. I know you love the Dukes. So we going Dukes or one last hurrah for the Falcons in this year?
Nah, Air Force will turn it over too many times. James Madison have got a point to prove. They had to fight to get this bowl game. And yeah, Kirk Snetty's gone. But they brought in, like I say, they want to impress Bobby Chesney. Like I say, he obviously won't be there. I imagine it's an interim. But they've got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
John McLeod, he's gone, isn't he?
He's gone. He's in the portal.
Yeah. So it's a job here. There's a quarterback job on the line. Yeah. But give me the Dukes. Like I said, they need to win this game to prove that kicking up all that fuss was actually worth it to get here.
I say the one day that I turn my back on the Falcons, they'll make me pay, but I'm going James Madison as well. And this is someone who generally, traditionally bets against them. So, yeah, we're doing the James Madison sweep. They're in the Armed Forces Bowl, but could potentially be a very interesting clash of styles. Moving on next, we have the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, and it's one of the most famous ones because of its name. Utah State against Georgia State for this one. And so Utah State playing the Mountain West. They were 6-6 on the year. They were 4-4 in the Mountain West. Georgia State, they were also 6-6 on the year, but they finished 3-5 in the Sun Belt. And they had the outside chance of getting to the title game, and they lost a big ass lead against Old Dominion and got beaten by them. So it was a big end to the season for them. Utah State, we know their struggles. They've just, at quarterback, they just don't know what's going on there. It's all over the place. They've struggled all season. The fact they won 6 games is a minor miracle. Georgia State, they'd probably taken that at the start of the year, maybe 6-6. They've been in one of those middling teams, but, you know, they've sort of been a bit more all-round balanced. Who have you got in the Idaho Potato, or the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Georgia State or Utah State?
God, this is a proper mid-off. This is so uninteresting. I'll take the upset. I'll take the Panthers.
Is it Golden Panther? Oh, it's just Panthers, isn't it? The Georgia State Panthers. Yeah.
I'll take Georgia State.
Yeah. All right. Let's get that one in there. This is one of those which is an absolute like coin flip for me. I would favor Georgia State from my understanding of the two teams this year, what I've seen of them, where I think they're at. I feel like Georgia State are the better team of the two, and I think they've got a more stable situation in the quarterback room. Who knows, with it being bowl season, how it could go, but I don't know. We'll see with that one. We've got 3 left on the Saturday. The 68 Ventures Bowl, that is between 2 of my favorite teams from this year, or they were at the beginning. The South Alabama Jaguars from the Sun Belt against the Eastern Michigan Eagles, the crate train from the MAC. Eastern Michigan, I mean, again, these are all 6-6 teams. South Alabama and Eastern Michigan, both 6-6, and they both finished 4-4 in conference. So they have absolutely identical records on the season. So again, not much to. It was a disappointing season for Eastern Michigan for me, and it was a disappointing season for South Alabama. But Kane Womack is still there. It's USA. He's going nowhere. Creighton's still there. 2 very experienced head coaches, 2 who have done really good in recent years before this one. One of my low-key favorites I'm looking forward to seeing, actually. But who have we got? We got the Jags or the Eagles?
I'm not picking Creighton again. I put him in my title game. I picked him multiple weeks, and they let me down every time. So for that, go Jags.
Well, you know what they say, ride and... Yes, you do. You know what they say, ride and die. I will ride and die on the crate train. If it comes off, then next year you will not hear me mention them once. I will be done for good. I want Eastern Michigan to get the bowl win. It still represents a good year. 500, bowl win, very hard to win there. I would love to see Creighton get a bowl win. So let's hopefully they're able to do that. We've got the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl next. And this one is just very intriguing. It's Northwestern versus Utah. Obviously, Northwestern from the Big Ten, Utah from the Pac-12. We know what a great season Utah have had, given the injuries they've had on there. But Nate Johnson is in the portal, so he won't be playing. So quarterback situation's up in the air. The running backs declared for the draft, I believe. Is it Jaquindon Jackson? No, who's the Utah running back? You love him.
I haven't seen Jaquindon Jackson commit or declare yet.
Oh, have you not? Oh, he might do then. So
do anything now.
Possibly, but obviously that Utah defense is just rock solid, no matter how much it is. But Northwestern, they were the surprise story of the year under an interim, given everything that happened for them to be able to make a bowl game. They finished 7-5. They were 5-4 in the Big Ten. Utah finished 8-4. They were 5-4 in the Pac-12. But they lost Cam Rising, they lost Brant Quite. They didn't have either of them for the season at all, and it was just a little bit too much for their defense to be doing it on a weekly basis. But you've kind of got an obvious favourite in Utah here, but then an underdog in Northwestern who under, their interim head coach, now full head coach, very good for him to be able to get that job full time. Sniff an upset in bowl season and then Northwestern to cap off a remarkable season, or are Utah going to grind this one out on defense?
I've never liked Bryson Barnes. Every time I've watched him, I think, he ain't it. This ain't the guy. Turns the ball over a lot, struggles to command the offense. Northwestern had a really good run at the end of the season to get bowl eligible. I'm going to take the big upset. I'm going to take the Wildcats. I think it'll take down the Utes.
Oh, see, I'm going that direction as well. David Brown, for the job he took over, the situation he took over.
Players figured out, they'll just think, what's the point?
Yeah. It's like, I think Brown, they're going to be playing for pride because that's a program that was just in the mire when he arrived. And for them to turn it around, to get to a bowl and win a bowl game, I think it's a lot of redemption for that university, for them to be able to go out there and go, look, we really fought hard in the field, did it. I'd love to see them get a bowl win just for him, because I think he's earned it. I mean, nothing against Utah. I love Kyle Whittingham, but they've done well. They'll go to the hang on, where are Utah going? They go to the big
12.
next year. Yeah. They go to the Big 12. Where are Utah going? I've just had a complete brain fart. They go to the
no, they're not coming to Arizona and Arizona State, are they? They're not coming to the Big 12.
Well, where are they going then? They're not going to the Big 10, are they? Oh,
yeah.
God, we're college. Utah, they've got to be going to the Big 12.
I can't remember. I did.
I'm sorry, you're listening to a college football podcast and we've just completely forgotten
Arizona,
where they're going.
Arizona State, Utah, Colorado. Are they the 4 Big 12 teams? They are, aren't they?
Yeah, it is.
It will. USC, UCLA to the Big 10, and it's just 2.
Yeah, they are going to the Big 12. I thought so.
Washington.
Yeah, geographically it makes sense as well because they're a lot further south. It's easier to go to those Big 12 teams when they're all southern based. So sorry, complete brain fart there. But yeah.
I've not been impressed by Utah this year. Even with the lack of injuries, I don't think they'd have been that much better, if I'm honest.
I don't know. Rising just always found a way to win. Quarterback's able to do that for you.
I honestly, I don't think he's that good.
No, but really good. I don't want to use the term game manager because of the whole stuff going on with Cam.
They've got to make sure he's 100%.
Yeah.
They can't have Bryson Barnes again this year.
No, absolutely not. Right, so the last game on the Saturday slate we've got is the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl. That's Coastal Carolina and San Jose State. Obviously, Coastal Cal, no more Grayson McCall because he's come to the Wolfpack. I'm wondering how that's going to get on. They were 7-5, 5-3 in the Sun Belt. San Jose State 7-5 in the Mountain West, finished 6-2. Just missed out on going to the title game, but two teams, they'll want to end the season well because neither of them were able. They both just missed out by the skin of their teeth on getting to a championship game. You figure they'll be playing for a bit of pride here, but again, Coastal have lost their identity now. Grayson McCall's been the guy. It's what the team's been built around for the last 4 years, and he's gone now. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. San Jose State, they're going to play tough. They're going to play hard. Both teams will try and run the ball. Where are you seeing this one go in the Hawaii Bowl?
I think the Spartans will win it comfortably. Unfortunately, I think the Chanticleers, they're just going to fizzle out. I feel like their dynasty I think it's ended. Cadwell gone, and now Grayson McCall gone. Yeah, I feel like they've kind of got the bare bones of a team now. There's not a lot left from that kind of super national powerhouse. They were darlings, but they're kind of it's all falling apart.
Yeah. You kind of think it's got to be big losing here.
Maybe they came close in the end. They were competitive. They played well against likes of Oregon State and like that. They had some big games this year where they played all right, even in losses.
It's a factory for defensive talent as well. Again, they will have losses, but they'll have the next lot lined up because consistently year on year, they bring out good defenses. And with Coastal missing Grayson, I kind of figured that's going to be the matchup that changes it there. So, yeah, I'm going San Jose as well. We've got 7 more to do, so let's get through them. So we're on to Tuesday, the 26th of December now. Boxing Day. First one, we've got the Quick Lane Bowl. Bowling Green from the MAC against Minnesota. from the Big Ten. Boy, doesn't that just make you feel excited listening to those two? Bowling Green, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in the MAC. Minnesota, 5-7 on the year, 3-6 in the Big. Minnesota, one of those academic performance teams who get in. They didn't reach the 6-game threshold. They're still there. Calliot Manis is in the portal. Still, no one wants him. No surprise there. So, I mean, they're a running team anyhow. You know they're going to have the running backs out there. Bowling Green, an interesting year for them. Some big high-profile losses which kept them getting to the MAC title game, but 7 wins overall. It's a team that's been sending talent to the draft. Carl Brooks just last year alone. He's been great. And the teams look pretty decent this year. But again, Power 5, Group of 5, but not so good Power 5 against pretty decent Group of 5. Upset again, or Minnesota just kind of got to run this one into the ground?
Nope, give me a big one-sided upset. Tyler Newbin ain't going to play. He's got his senior ball.
Yeah.
No chance he plays in this game. Against the Bowling Green team, none of that Minnesota team's going to play. They'll look down on them. They'll just say they're not worth our time. They're going to get upset. Like I say, Calliot Manis entered the portal. He was crap anyway. Like I say, he's back up. I've seen him when he played against North Carolina. He was even worse. Yeah, this Minnesota team is going nowhere fast. Yeah, especially not the PJ Fleck. So yeah, they're gonna get embarrassed, I think.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the favorite in this, but just for no other reason that they are the favorites, and you know we'll see what goes on there. I'd like to think Bowling Green will make the upset, but I kind of need some points in this, so I'm going to go that direction there. We'll move on. So we've split that one. Then we've got the Surf Pro First Responder Bowl, Texas State versus Rice. Obviously, the Bobcats, J.G. Kinney, their first year, started off well, kind of came to a little bit of a stuttering halt at the end. They finished 7-5. They were 4-4 in the Sun Belt. Vast improvement on their last few seasons. They are a much better team this year, but still figuring it out. Rice, JT Daniels, kind of well with them, 6-6 overall in the American. They were 4-4 in the conference. I'm not sure if JT is scheduled to play. I would think so because he's going to be.
I don't think he's allowed.
Oh, is he not? Okay, so Rice
is retired because he's had 2 concussions this year. I think he was.
Oh, of course he has.
I think his career's over.
Yeah, sorry, you're absolutely right. I completely forgot about this. So it's going to be new there, but you know, Rice.
He had a good year as well, Rice.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was the JT Daniels to Luke McCaffrey connection, wasn't it? Like they just went crazy on the season, but obviously he's not going to be in there. And this was just
Texas State. Well, I think it's never a good time to experiment with quarterback.
No, Texas State are 5.5-point favorites in this. I'm going to go with the Bobcats. I think it would be a really good year for Kinney to finish with 7 wins and a bowl win because he's gone to Texas State because they haven't won many games in recent years. Like, at all. 7 wins and a bowl game win is a tremendous first year for him, and they can build on that in the Sun Belt next year and help for recruiting purposes and that. So I'm going to go Texas State with you as well, but, you know, I won't hold it against Rice if they win. You know, I have a soft spot for them as well, but I have more of a soft spot for J.G. Kinney. And then the last one on the Tuesday, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Kansas, the Jayhawks against UNLV, the Rebels. UNLV, the surprise of the Mountain West this year, all the way to the championship game, but just fell at the last hurdle to Boise State. They're the runners up there. Don't know how that's going to impact them going forward. Jordan Mailata, their starting quarterback, is in the portal, the traitor. But they've still got Doug Brumfeld, who has been a starter for them many a times. He'd probably get the go in this. The Jayhawks, for them, it was a season of what-ifs in the Big 12. They were 8-4 overall, but they were 5-4 in the Big. They lost some games they couldn't afford to lose, but they've got 2 or 3 quarterbacks on that team as well. They're deep. If Jason Bean doesn't play, if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, they've still got guys behind that. So they're good in perpetuity there. But this is Group of 5, Power 5. 1 championship runner-up from the Group of 5, 1 mid-table Big 12 team from the Power 5. Upset again, or is this going to go the way of the Jayhawk?
No, Jayhawks score points, whoever's quarterback. I've seen 3 play this year. I'm pretty sure they've all scored like 30 points in at least one game. Jayhawks are just fun to watch. So yeah, I think they'll put up, and I think they'll win pretty big as well. They'll go out. They need to prove a point. They were poor this year. They let it slip again.
Yeah.
So yeah, they need to go out there and they need to make a statement. They need to go out there and drop 50 on them. Prove that you're actually a contender.
Yeah. At least finish with a bowl win to resuscitate your season a little bit. I agree, and I'm a big UNLV fan, but I don't know. I think they're going to have a hangover like New Mexico State. They've lost the championship game, and it's kind of that's the big one. That's the one you wanted. The bowl game, you don't want to play again after you've just wasted a championship game like that. So I think Kansas are going to get it as well. Then we got 4 games on the Wednesday, and that's where we'll go up to. So we got the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com. That is Virginia Tech against Tulane. Now, obviously, Tulane are losing everybody left, right, and center. Pratt's off to the Senior Bowl. Head coach Willie Fritz has gone to Houston. Going to be a big, tumultuous time for them going forward. Virginia Tech, they're sticking with the staff. They're sticking with the starter. They're going to be the more settled of the two teams probably in this, but even Tulane been group of 5 against Power 5 opposition. You'd have Tulane as favourites in this in a regular season matchup probably, but does that switch now they've lost all their some of their star guys, right?
Yeah. Virginia Tech were not very good this year. I've got no faith in them at all whatsoever. But for me, the deck of cards has fallen for Tulane. One's come out and the castle's come down. I think Tulane will lose. And I'm worried for them. 2 or 3 fantastic years, but I don't see them replicating it. I feel like this is going to be this is a reset. This is going to be a rebuild.
Yeah.
I reckon, like say, Jarius Monroe, the corner, like star corner, probably going to the draft. I can't see him playing. Be surprised if he does. But yeah, a lot of the top guys, like say, may sit this one out. So give me the Hokies.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Hokies as well. I think Tulane are going to hit reset now. Now, maybe they might just find the next, like you said, with Western Kentucky, the next star may just arise out of nowhere and could very well do. But just on the basis of it, trying to pick a bowl game, I would pick Tech for this, given that Tulane have lost so many of their leaders now in this. Next up, the most famous one of them all, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. You take the Mayo bath at the end. UNC against West Virginia. Equal records for them, both 8-4 on the season. West Virginia went 6-3 in the Big 12. Surprising success for them this year. Them and Neil Brown really overachieved this year because he was in one of the biggest hot seats in the country at the start of this year. But for them, it's been really good. For UNC, it's been nothing but a disappointment. They were 8-4, but they were only 4-4 in a weak ACC. And they lost some big games. And of course, they're just losing a ton of talent to the draft that they're not going to be able to call on. Amarian Hampton will be available if they want to, because like he's going to be ready to go in this. So you've got talent, but I'm not exactly sure who's next up for UNC at this moment in time. And just say you're coming up against a West Virginia team, which I think they'll want to end the season with a bang. And Neil Brown will want to end the season with a bang. So say his job was under threat, but 8 wins would be 9 and a bowl win would represent significant progress forward and would keep his seat very cool for next season. But UNC got the big name players. Who have you got on this one, Ryan?
I'm picking UNC only because I think Amarian Hampton can go for like 200 yards. If he don't play, they're doomed. So, yeah, I'll pick this on the basis as fan currently when he's not opted out. If out, like say, well, then I'm screwed.
Yeah, I think it does
I have
come
no
down
idea
to
the quarterback will be either.
no, it does come down to that running game. So we've kind of got to see with that one. But I have a soft spot for West Virginia. I picked them in the backyard brawl. They backed me for that. So if you're going to do that, you're going to get my confidence to the end of the year. So I'm going to take West Virginia for that one there. Then we've got the Direct TV Holiday Bowl. Oh, Louisville against USC. Ugh, eek. Ugh, don't know where this one, but USC, it was certainly a disappointing season for them. 7-5. just 5-4 in the Pac-12 for a team that was considered to be worthy of going for the playoffs. Louisville ended ranked 15th. They were 10-3 on the year, 7-1 in the ACC. Of course, made the championship game, but lost a really disappointing affair. Their USC, obviously, there's a sleuth of players going to the draft. Louisville, they'll not have their starting quarterback because Plummer's in the portal, I believe, as well. So a team who've got a lot of losses on both sides of the ball. I kind of feel like USC are going to think this is beneath them and just not try, and Louisville will win. I'm going to go Louisville because I think USC will just not want any part of this, but no, do you disagree?
I'd say USC, loads of players have like hit the portal because we've just taken one of their star running backs. I say Raleigh Brown's gone. I'm trying to think of the backup quarterback. I'm pretty sure the kid's like a 5-star.
Oh no, they've lost him. Malachi Nelson. He's gone to the portal. They lost Malachi. Well, he's in the portal.
Yeah.
They
lost Lemon gone as well, the receiver. Raleigh Brown's gone.
They've lost 3 5-stars this week who are in the portal. Like, there's an exodus there at the minute of talent.
Like Louisville, who's throwing the ball. Jamari Thrash has got to think about the draft. This is honestly just shut your eyes and pick one. I'll pick Louisville. I think this game will absolutely stink.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one. Like I say, just so many people. Like there's an exodus of talent right now at USC, and there's going to be, they're going to have issues. I think, at least in the future. And I say I don't think they're going to be bothered about it. So I'm going to pick Louisville as well. Just because I don't think USC are going to be up for it. And then the last one we've got on the docket for this week, because that takes us up to next Thursday. We should have done the show before then. The Tax Act Texas Bowl. Texas A&M against Oklahoma State. Texas A&M, obviously, Mike Elko is coming to be the new head coach there. Another disappointing year for them. 7-5, 4-4 in the SEC. OK State, they were 9-4. 7-2 in the Big 12. They got blown out in the Big 12 championship game, but you kind of figure Mike Gundy will want to end this season with something. He'll have his players up for it, for absolute sure. For A&M, they will be under an interim, not under Elko. And again, another team, bleeding talent, Walter Nolan gone. A lot of other guys following in his stead, as always with that team. I don't know. This is a tough one. Got the beaten championship finalists in the Big 12 or A&M.
I'll take the Cowboy. I'll take them by a lot, yeah. Give me Oklahoma State by a large amount. Texas A&M, for me, they just don't have a lot to work with right now.
Yeah, he's going for he backed the Cowboys in the title game, and he's gone back. So we'll see if the second time is a charm there, and we'll keep that there. Then we've got about another 15 to do. 16, 17 to do next week. But of course, a lot's going to happen between now and then. So we will leave it for now with those. Right. That is everything done in terms of bowl season so far. So just guess the last thing for us to really go through today, if there's anything portal wise. So obviously we've talked a lot about what's going on there, but is there any moves in the portal you've seen so far? Anything that's really taken your eye? You've been surprised by what have you been making of portal season so far?
Some interesting moves. Like, say, Dante Moore, 5-star quarterback, has gone to the Ducks. Fair actually, but it was pretty predictable. But in the limited time he was in UCLA, he didn't cover himself in glory, didn't hit the ground running. And he's got to replace Bo Nix, one of the best Ducks in recent history. So he's got big shoes to fill.
Has he gone there even though Dylan Gabriel's gone there?
Yeah, he's still gone there. So he's gone to compete.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so they've got Dylan Gabriel, who was their presumptive star, and Dante Moore. So their camp battle for the Ducks is going to be very interesting, I think.
Oh, Lord, I didn't realise he'd gone there. That's probably going to be one of the hottest battles of the season.
Yeah, Arizona State, we've done pretty well. We got Raleigh Brown yesterday, who was like a top 150 recruit for USC, the running back and wide receiver. So Kenny Dillingham's already doing his due diligence. Like I say, we've got the top #1 recruit tight end, a kid from Oregon. So he's basically saying, like, I'm going to scoop up all the Pac-12 players, the best ones that have gone. That's where he does his best work. So I expect Arizona State to be much better next year.
Yeah.
I think they'll do a lot better the year after. Like I said, kept Jaden Machada, brought in but yeah, the players, like I say, that have not recruited yet. So obviously you've got the three names. You've got Cam Ward, you've still got DJ Ungalele, and you've still got Will Howard. So they're watching the chips and dominoes fall. But yeah, the big starting jobs, like I say, somebody's got to battle Devin Brown in Ohio State. You've still got, like I say, the Florida State job. One of these three is going to get it. I think I've seen a lot of links to DJ Ungalele going to Florida State.
Oh, I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. So a few of the big stories.
I wouldn't if I was a Seminoles fan, if I'm honest.
I just don't want Cameron Ward to go there. I love Cameron Ward, and I don't want to cheer the Seminoles with Cameron Ward there, but I would have to.
But Florida State today did get 4-star Charles Lester, the cornerback. That is a big pickup for them to go opposite Fentrell Cypress. So they've started their work very early.
Yeah, they have. So there's a few other big stories emerging. So a few of the other bits we want to pick up on from last week. So we were talking about Jonathan Smith went to Michigan State, and we said they were bad after Aiden Childs, the quarterback from Oregon State, who they were grooming to be the next guy there. And they were all over him trying to get him. They got him to commit. So Aiden Childs, he's only 18. He's young, but he's going to Michigan State. He's probably going to go and try and start there sooner rather than later. But Michigan State are another one who've had a really good pull because they also managed to get Jack Velling. Like, he's that massive tight end from Oregon State as well. And they've been able to bring him in. They've got in the defensive end from Middle Tennessee as well. I can't remember his name, but he'd had a big year. But Jonathan Smith is recruiting like a champion for them already.
Yeah, that's a good get. Like I say, Adrian Childs, he doesn't have the tape from college yet, but the high school tape, the size, the athleticism, age as well. He's just a kid, like I say, so the potential's through the roof. If he hits the ground running and he lives up to potential, then the Spartans could be in the mix as of next year. Could literally just hit the ground running straight away. Like I say, so yeah, Oregon State, they've been gutted, unfortunately.
Yeah, they've lost a lot, but because they're going to be playing a group of 5 schedule next year. It's not appealing for your draft chances, so this is what happens. But they've been very active. So TJ Sheffield has gone there as well, the Purdue wide receiver.
Yeah,
like he's not had his luck. So that's a good hire. They got Jordan Turner, who was the Wisconsin linebacker. Like, that's a big get for them as well. Michigan State, depends how Childs starts. They'll probably start Noah Kim next year if he stays for a bit, but maybe bring him in. But like, he's doing. They could potentially be really good there, but Michigan State are one to watch out for on here. NC State. Now, I know you weren't as keen on this, but Grayson McCall has committed to NC State, like 14,000 odd yards for Coastal Carolina. It's crazy. But the weapons they've gotten Jordan Waters from Duke, the running back. We know he's a stud. Jolie, like, he's Brett's favorite from Discord, the 6'7" tight end from UConn, who we all love. They're giving him weapons to work with there. I love what we've done in the portal as well. I don't know about you, but I think if we give him the run game and we give him the weapons, I think McCall could do really well at a team like NC State, where you're under the radar enough where you're not in the spotlight. And if you have a sneaky good season, you could be in the ACC title game, the AAC.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a stopgap. It's very narrow-minded. It's 1 year thinking, like you say, because like this is it. You've got to have a plan in place for life after Grayson McCall, and that's what kind of worries me. Like, they're going to put all their eggs in their basket and try and make the ACC title game. But like I say, Waters will also leave. McCall will leave because they said their eligibility will be up. So yeah, they're going all in on this year, hoping that, like I say, he's not made a mistake and he should have hit the portal a year ago. Like I say, that he's had a down year by his own standards, but yeah, he's still he's reliable, he's experienced. If you protect him, give him some weapons, then he could lead them to the ACC title. So they're banking on this will be our year. They're going all in right now, and then they'll worry about 2024, 2025 when it gets there, I suppose. So I understand that method of thinking. So yeah, like I say, they've gone down the very experienced route. They've not gone with the high upstarted kids, like I say, the gamble. So yeah, there'll be a team to watch next year purely after a 1 year basis. So I get the move. Going to be very interesting. Who was the other quarterback? Like I say, Kyle McCord. So it looked like he was destined to go to Nebraska. Like I say, defected. Like I say, the orange. I quite like that move. I think for Syracuse, like I say, they've just got quite a good, underrated kind of head coach hire. Go get your quarterback too. Like I say, and if they can lure Julian Fleming, like I say, who was obviously, he's struggled in all the years at Ohio State, but that's because, look, everyone he's had to be behind. He's not managed to jump any of them and eat their targets, but I think they should try their best to try get him to come with Kyle too and try give him a target. But yeah, they could do a lot worse than Kyle McCord, so I actually think that's a pretty, potentially quite a sneaky move they've got there.
Yeah, and in terms of some of like the big winners from there, so you mentioned Hughes, so I mean they've got some real good ones in there. So I think hang on, I'll come back to them in a sec, but I want to quickly go on to Ole Miss first. So because I know you've been like the Ole Miss guy who watches a lot of that team, but we talked to them at the start of the show about how great their class has been. So they've got 9 commits for this year. And amongst some of them, they've got in the wide receiver from South Carolina, Antoine Wells Jr., who has been really good for them. And then on the D line, so you got in Tyler Barron from Tennessee, you got in Princely Uman Malin from Florida, you've brought in Key Lawrence from Oklahoma, you've got Chris Paul Jr. from Arkansas, the linebacker, to go in with as well. And they are the finalist along with Oregon for Walter Nolan. And you just think that team, if you get all these commits in and do as you do and you keep your big playmakers there, I mean, it's got to be Kiffin's year next year, surely. This is the year where you do or die because you have just had a great portal on both sides of the ball. There's no excuses left anymore. And if you play Dart, you're playing now a multi-season starter who there's no excuses for inexperience for him to not do it. Like, this should be his year now. This is the year he's got to go out and do it, surely.
It has to be, yeah. He's on the hook for $8.85 million this year, the 2024 salary. He's one of the highest paid coaches in the country. And yesterday they secured a lucrative extension to 2028. The AD, the program, they've bought into him. I say they've extended him. I say we know he's one of my favourite coaches in football. I like his personality. He's a bit of a weirdo, but I say he's good with people, good with kids, good with families, he's a great recruiter. But so far, he has been bang average. They have been the pedestrian, middle of the road. They've not got real that close. They've not really sniffed an SEC championship this time. Like I said, he's got to do it now. Like I said, the divisions are gone. It's going to get a lot bloody harder, but he's got to do it now. This has got to be the year. Otherwise, I question the extension. I question why they've extended him. If he can't this year make an SEC championship, you've gone out and brought all these big names in. A team of all-stars, either they'll gel or they won't. And he's banking on they will. And he's gone out there and got some big names. So, yeah, he can't fail. It won't be acceptable. Like I say, he's got to win like 11 games minimum. Or this year, for me, will be deemed a failure for the Rebels.
Yeah, I think it is a big year for them. You've got to go out and do something. You get all these guys in. But then, I mean, I guess conversely, if Nolan goes to Oregon, then it's going to be on them as well. They've got 2 of the highest commits in class, both quarterbacks as well. It's like no excuse for them not to be able to go out because a lot of that team's going to come back next year. I know Bo Nix is gone, but a lot of his targets, a lot of that defense is coming back. You'd expect them to hit the ground running in the Big Ten.
Well, Oregon flipped a 4-star receiver today from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Jamakari Williams, I think his name is.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, they're also, like, say, recruiting now for life in a new conference too. So the Ducks, you expect them to, like Dylan Gabriel, go win the championship. Like I say, he's got to, like I say, it's his big year. It's his last year of eligibility. He's decided to not go to the draft, which will either be really, really good, or in a year we'll be talking about, well, that was a mistake. You should have just declared. Like I say, so it's going to go one of two ways, and there'll be no middle ground. Either he wasted a year, or bloody hell, he's done a Bonix and now he's a first round quarterback, which I don't think will happen because he's just not a first round quarterback. But the Ducks, yeah, couldn't have got much cushier starting gig.
No, absolutely. They're going to have one of the best quarterback rooms in the country next year. So it's interesting to see who wins. I'm surprised Moore made that move, but because it's Gabriel's last year, maybe they'll work him in, or maybe they'll work him in rotation. Who knows? In terms of like just
the Washington, the quarterback they've decided to pin their hat on.
Oh, it's oh God. Who was it? It's the new Washington quarterback. You've just got me in a moment here. I've completely forgotten who it was your mistake guy, Will Rogers.
Yeah. I hate that move. I hate it.
He's losing. It depends. So is McMillan staying? So Odunze and Poke are coming to the draft. Is McMillan staying? Because if he does, he's got like a bona fide wide receiver one who will grow into that role to start with. But if all three of them leave, then it's like a completely new receiver room for them.
He don't want a pro style offense, like you say. He's just like air raid.
Yeah.
And he's not got a big arm. Kind of stop it. I don't think this will fit. For me, this just does not mesh.
No, it's interesting whether they've got someone in house.
To Will Rogers, wow, that is some hell of a drop off.
Unless they've got someone in the pipeline and Rogers is just going to be a stopgap while they develop a youngster.
Like a commit or a young kid there, like because Washington usually have a plan.
Yeah, I would have.
Sam Hewitt can't still be there.
I don't think so. No, no. I'll have to look into that at some point. In terms of other big commits, so there's only 2 5-stars in the portal, both from Texas A&M, Walter Nolan, as we've mentioned, the D lineman, and Evan Stewart, the wide receiver. Neither of them have committed. The highest ranked commit is Dante Moore. He was number 4. He's gone to Oregon. Riley Leonard's gone to Notre Dame. He's 6th. Dylan Gabriel to Oregon. He's 7th. Other sort of big moves at the top. So Missouri flipped Caden Green, the offensive lineman from Oklahoma. He's a 4-star. So Missouri really building towards the SEC next year. I think they could have a good go at it there. But yeah, he was the number 9 ranked commit, but Missouri managed to get him. So Jared Verse is leaving Florida State this year. They've got their replacement, Marvin Jones Jr. Just doesn't seem right sounding it because of the guy we've had with the Lions, but they found their edge of the future from Georgia there. That's a good pickup for them to replace Verse.
Yeah, I saw them, like say, getting Kyle Kennard and also guys like maybe Euban Malin, Marvin Harrison Jr. Like say he was pretty good. Like say in recent years, like say he's a good pickup, a good like say pass rusher, defensive end to kind of fill that kind of gap that they've got that Jared Verse does leave. So I like the pickup. Like I say, it kind of fills a need, it plugs a hole, and if he's like in that kind of scheme and he's given that kind of role, like to just get after the quarterback, I actually think he could be very successful for that. So this could be one of those that kind of people don't think too much of now, but like you say, you could think of it like, well, that was a huge move. That kind of like gave their defense to the spark it really needed. So yeah, I think this will be one of those that we look back on and say, yeah, that was one of the better moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one of the interesting ones. So Andrew Makuba, the Clemson safety we mentioned. I thought he was going to go to the draft. He's transferred to Texas. So he's going to the SEC from Clemson. So that puts him firmly in next year's crop of good safeties. Like he's going to be one of the standout names because he's going to the biggest conference of them all.
Yeah. Like I say, and they've just picked up a 4-star safety as well. Texas, one of the higher ranked safeties in the nation. So I like that move. His hard work has been rewarded. Really, really good player. Like I say, he could have gone and drafted. He could have been a top I don't know, what, 50 player?
Yeah.
Something like that. And he's banking on going there, having a great year and being a first rounder. So I think this will be a move. It's great for Texas as well. They can sometimes have quite a poor secondary. So this is quite a good pickup for them. So yeah, stacking some elite talent on the back end, especially when you go into the SEC, you kind of need that. So yeah, I hope this move works out for him. But I'd say he was one of the best defensive backs you were going to get out of the portal this year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big, big get for Texas going into their year. Right, let's finish this off. We're near there. There's a few players, and I just want you to have a guess at where you want these guys to go, because there's still a few guys in the portal. But the first one I wanted to mention, because I know you really, really like him, Miss State running back Jaquavius Marks. Where would you like to see him end up?
I can see him staying in the SEC.
Arkansas need a new running back now. Raheem Sanders has gone to South Carolina.
Yeah, and they fired their offensive coordinator, didn't they? So
yeah,
they could do with a bit of a spark. Yeah, like I say, KJ gone, so it's all change in Arkansas. If he wants the carries and he wants a workload, that kind of makes for him.
yeah. I
could see that. I could see him going there.
Yeah, that could be a good fit for him there. Mario Williams. So he was the other one I mentioned from USC. He's in the portal, wide receiver. I mean, like, where would you love to, I mean, where could he go? Like, because you've got to figure it's going to be to a wide receiver powerhouse. It would be like an Ohio State. I would feel like he would end up there, but he's a very fun player. Where would you like to see him end up at? This is hypotheticals here to finish this off.
Arizona.
Ooh.
I think they're going to be a sneaky contender in the first year in the Big 12. And for me, Mario Williams, I don't think he's done enough to get a big school. I don't think he's done enough to warrant like that big time move. So I think he should go into a pass happy offense with a quarterback, like say, we're presuming a bit of a feet, like say, he hits the ground running. They put up pretty good offensive numbers there back end of this year. So that'd be a big time pickup for them in their move to the Big 12.
Couple more. Malik Murphy. So he's in the portal now. So he's not gonna face off against Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers, but he's a very talented quarterback.
Or Kansas State or TCU.
Oh well, I was gonna. All right, well we can say Kansas State, because I'll flip that. And where's Will Howard going? Because he's still in the portal, and
See, I don't know. I think he's really talented. Like,
because you've got places like LSU that still need a guy. Is he that talented, or would it be a rung below?
see, he could follow him there. He could go to LSU, yeah. Like I say, who's their current quarterback? Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah, Nussmeier will be the.
There are yeah, and they've also got Walker Howard, and he knows him well. So he could try text him and say, "Let's come to LSU." Like I say, he ain't going to Florida State. He ain't a Florida State quarterback. Like I say, yeah, like I say, but I don't know how long he's going to hang on. But LSU would make a lot of sense because Nussmeier could be good, but inexperienced. Like I saw him in last year's bowl game, and he played well, put up some good numbers. But it's a Walker Howard. He ain't winning that job. He might. Yeah, was he the old Ole Miss quarterback, or was it the old Kansas State quarterback?
Walker Howard was the old Kansas State quarterback, wasn't he? I believe he was.
They used to be teammates, didn't they? Will Howard and Walker Howard. Yeah, Will Howard to LSU. I can kind of see that. Ooh. LSU, like big old shoes to fill next year. I would not want to try and replicate what Jane Daniels has just done.
No, absolutely not. But you've got to challenge yourself. Right, anyhow, we'll leave it at that because we've been going long enough now. So thanks to everyone who's listened in this evening. Really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to mention before we get off today, or are you all good?
No, don't think so.
I think we're there, yeah. So, yeah, we'll, let's say the next shows, the Detroit Lions podcast will be back tomorrow, or that is say, previewing the Minnesota Vikings game at the weekend. Me and Ryan will be back next week. Obviously, we'll carry on with our bowl season coverage, and we'll also, hopefully, if the rosters will start getting finalized, we're going to start looking at the all-star games as well. And then, of course, we're going to be telling you about our favorite players coming into the draft, because players are still declaring at this point. It's a bit hard to talk about players now because so many players are going back to college because of NIL. It's hard to know who's actually getting to the draft, but we will get to it as soon as we can. So yeah, keep with us during that. You can find us all over the internet, Roar of the Lions UK, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. Roar of the Lions UK.co.uk for our website. Obviously, find us on there for all our preview articles, etc., etc. But just for now, remains for me to thank Rye, and we shall see you again next week here on the College Pod. Until then, one pride.